Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to bring up our next speaker. Our next speaker is Brian K. Edwards. Brian has been researching, there you go. Brian has been researching the JFK assassination for over 50 years. He has a master's degree in criminal justice and was an adjunct professor at Washburn University in Topeka, Kansas. Brian was a police officer in the Lawrence, Kansas Police Department, an instructor in the police academy, a firearms instructor, a field training officer, and he was a member of the department's counter-assault team as a sniper. That's important. Brian's research on the murder of President Kennedy has been cited in numerous books, including Murder in Dealey Plaza, The Zapruder Hoax, Assassination Science, and Enemy of the Truth. He's a co-author of Beyond the Fence Line, the eyewitness account of Ed Hoffman and the murder of President Kennedy, and co-director Project JFK CSI Dallas. Brian testified as an expert witness in a 3-day mock trial of Lee Harvey Oswald at the University of Houston Law Office.
Watch this.
In September, Brian was interviewed by Oliver Stone for a new 3-part documentary entitled JFK, Destiny Betrayed.
Best birthday ever.
If you would, ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to Brian K. Edwards.
Thank you very much.
And I didn't give you the title. He's going to be speaking on sniper training and Dealey Plaza.
Yeah, I think I am. Am I am?
There you go.
I'm up. I had to show you this because it was the best birthday ever. I got a call from Jim D'Ingenio, who I never correspond with because he's up here and I'm kind of over here. And he said, "Hey, are you sitting by your phone?" "Yeah, well, you're calling me on the phone." "Sure, I'm right next to the phone." He says, "You're going to be getting a call from a guy in California. Says you won't know the number, just take the call." Click. Okay. 5 minutes later, I hear the phone rings and I pick it up and he says, "Is this Brian?" "Yeah." "Who is it?" "Some plot, you know." "Brian Edwards?" And as soon as he said that, that's Oliver Stone. Oh, sorry. Oliver Stone calls me? What did I, is this a prank? And he says, "You're interested in helping me, I'd love to have you help me." "Oh, help you? Sure, why not? I'll have my people call your people." Well, I did call him, and we went to, my wife and I got treated like kings and queens in Washington, D.C., and spent some time with him, and hopefully the documentary will be coming out in the spring of next year, so keep an eye open for that. I want to just talk to you from a different perspective. Thank you. I don't know, I've been to these conferences for a long, long time, and I don't remember ever seeing somebody talking about it from a perspective of the shooters. So with my background, training, and experience on the counter-assault team, and as an active sniper for 7 years on the police department, I want to look at this from kind of reverse engineer it. And what did these guys go through? How did they go to where they were, where the shots were coming from? I have to tell you, I believe there was more than one shooter in Dealey Plaza. Duh. But from a tactical standpoint, the same protocols are followed regardless of whether you're doing a search warrant or an arrest warrant, or you're setting up on a hostage perimeter or whatever. The tactics are the same. So I'm going to give it to you from my perspective, and some of these photographs I'm going to show you today have not been seen in the public ever. So we're going to take a look at it from what I want to do is this half of the room, you're the shooters. This half, you're the director. You're the field commander. You're the guy or lady that tells these guys what to do, where to go, when to shoot, when not to shoot, okay? So what I want you to do when we go through this, I'm going to show you some pictures from shooting locations. They're called final firing position, FFPs. You as the shooter need to determine whether the protocol exists for this would be a good spot to shoot from. The director, you are deciding from your perspective whether this is going to be a good spot to put our people. my team, my people. My team is going to be in a position, but I need to decide if that's going to be a viable spot, okay? Shooters, director. Okay, here we go. See you, Oliver. All right. Multiple shooters, guarantee hit. Every time somebody's going to hit that target. And I'm going to refer to President Kennedy as a target. It's not as a slam or a disrespect, but you're a target. You're a shooter and you're shooting at a target. You don't care about who the personality is or what his policies are, it doesn't matter. Your assignment is to kill him before he gets to that overpass. You guys, as a director, are to decide whether these guys are doing it in the right fashion as we had laid it out. Okay. What does tactical mean? Basically, it's the use of combat-style methods to gain a specific goal, which they did. A small-scale action serving a larger purpose characterized by ingenuity, skill, precision from a close-up perspective. You can't get any closer than 45 yards. That's a pretty close-in shot. So, when I went to a sniper school in Kansas City, this was the bylaw. 5 tactical success C's. This 5 C's basically. In order for a tactical operation such as this in Dealey Plaza, these 5 C's should be met and addressed. Control of the high ground, command of firepower, cover, concealment, and communications. Without these 5 elements, your success rate drops to 0, and you can't afford that. Well, what do I mean when I say control the high ground? 10 feet off the ground is high ground. Anything above that, you're going to have a better advantage. You're going to have unobstructed view of your target, such as the hunter in this picture, shooting from an elevated position. The advantage of having a high ground position is that you can see your target easier. You can make sure your target is identified. You have concealment. Nobody looks up. For as long as I was a police officer, I can tell you a quick story. Nobody looks up. You know why? Because it takes too much effort. People do that and they go, oh, well, that hurt, but I can do it. I captured a serial burglar in our town. He had burglarized over 200 shops. And one night we chased him. Everybody's running around trying to set up a perimeter. I'm walking through the yard and I take my flashlight and I just started looking up, and there's a tree house. This family had constructed a tree house in the back of their yard. That's where he was. Had I not looked up, hell, I would have rocked right past him. Look up. Most of the people, and a lot of the people in Dealey Plaza didn't look up. One guy did, and we'll talk about him in just a second. So the bad part, the pro side is you're higher up, you can't be seen. The low part, the con of this, is that 9 out of 10 times taking a shot from a high elevation to a low elevation, 9 times out of 10 you're going to miss high the first shot. I don't care how well you've trained. I bet I shot, somebody asked me a long time ago, how many rounds have you ever fired? Probably 10,000. That's a lot of 10,000 times. But we used to shoot Tootsie Pops from 150 yards away. You aim small, you miss small. Tootsie Pop is that big. If I can hit that at 150 yards, I can hit this at 500. Piece of cake. As long as it's stopped and stationary and not going to move, I can do that. But 9 times out of 10 when you shoot from high to low, it's the most difficult of all 3 shots to shoot from. Level ground is easy, high to low is hard, low to high is just as difficult, but can be done. Okay? High to low, very difficult. You have to train to do that. We trained our sergeant, who was a devious bastard, used to take a radio-controlled car with a 12-foot whip antenna and put a balloon on it. And he'd be off to the side running this thing, and we're proned out, targeted, got our alley of fire, and that thing would come through, and that whip antenna would go like this, and when it finally stopped, we had to shoot. I can tell you that takes a lot of practice to do that. A lot of practice. And you can't, I don't care who you are, But you're never going to convince me one guy who hadn't fired a rifle since 1959, it couldn't qualify, fired 3 rounds in 6 seconds from a crappy rifle with World War II ammunition, and the last shot is a headshot? Impossible. Absolutely guaranteed impossible. I couldn't have done it, and I would have never stuck my butt up in a building in the first place. I'd be level, flat with the target. All right. There were some examples of real-world high ground control, and unfortunately, one of them occurred in this state in 1960, University of Texas at Austin. Remember that, those of you who are around? You can't get any higher than that, 310 feet off the ground with a 360-degree quarter-mile range. Anything that moves, it's a target. This guy had nothing but free areas to shoot. And you've probably seen some of the newsreels of the Austin police officers down there with shotguns trying to shoot 310 feet up in the air. It ain't gonna happen. I mean, he's hiding behind concrete. You're not gonna get him. And the only way they got him was they went up that staircase. No, I wouldn't do that. But they killed him when they got out onto the top of the overlook. And recently, high ground control, the Mandalay Bay 2017, this wacko goes into a Las Vegas hotel and with bags and bags and boxes and rifle cases, and nobody goes, hey, what are you doing? Give me a break. This guy, I have pictures of this guy's room that LVPD took. He had 40 assault rifles in the room and 10,000 rounds of ammunition. Nobody sees this guy carrying these rifles into the building? I tried to bring the replica rifle I have of the Mannlicher Carcano into our hotel. The guy says, you ain't bringing that in here. Trust me, I wouldn't use this to shoot anybody. What I use it for is when the drywall nails at the top of my bedroom, they get all popped out, I just use the end of that. That's about what its value is. But here's Stephen Paddock's kill zone, 1,000 yards distance from 320 feet up in the air. Anything that moves is a target. Command of firepower, that's number 2. In other words, bring more firepower than the other guy. Everybody on my team, I was a squad leader for the assault team. I was a door kicker for about 6 years, and then I transferred to the sniper team, which is a lot easier. You don't have to run and kick and punch people. You just do it from a distance. We carried Colt A2 9mm fully automatic assault rifles with 4 15-round clips, 6 Sauer P226 16-round mags, and with 6 extra magazines. You bring more firepower than the guy you're going to be going to get. You overwhelm them with firepower. In Dealey Plaza, you had at least 10 shooters, and everybody that had a gun was either on the street as a cop or in that car. Cover. That is a perfect example of cover. We shot behind stuff like that all the time. A rock, a bullet won't go through a rock, but a 50 caliber will. But back in '63, there was no 50 caliber that a person could use. Concealment. Concealment, I want you to understand, shooters, concealment is not cover, and cover is not concealment. This is cover, this is concealment. But it's not cover because it's wood. You put a brown right through there. Concealment is not cover, cover is not concealment. You're looking for concealment and cover. He's in there. Communications are a must. Direct, clear communications between the director and the team has to be maintained. Kill shots. Well, I used to be a school resource officer, and kids would always go, have you ever killed anybody? Not yet. You can be on the list. But they go, why don't you shoot to wound somebody? That is the way we train. What's easier to hit, this or this? Well, why don't you shoot the gun out of his hand? Well, if I was Wyatt Earp, I probably could, but I'm not going to do that under a stressful condition. I'm taking the biggest target I can hit and pray to God that I hit it. You go for here. But on a headshot, anywhere on the head will guarantee almost a kill. When the target is head on, you shoot for the terrible T. We called it the terrible T. Top of the eyebrows down to the chin, everything in between. A bullet going through that will sever the brainstem instantly. He'll never take another breath. And that's what happened at Dealey Plaza. It severed the brainstem. It's over with. If the target is at an angle, you shoot for the eye to the nose. Anywhere in this square, it'll go right through his brainstem. Isn't that great to think about? Sever a brainstem. What a great way to go. That's the way I'd want to go. You go like that. Profile, you put one right in the ear canal. You drive that bullet right through that ear canal, it's over with before it gets to the other side of the head. And then from the back, lower section of the lower quadrant of the head is where you want to shoot. There's two methods that are the most preferred methods to shooting a long distance moving target. One is called the tracking system, and the other is the ambush system. Tracking system, for those of you shotgun shooters, you just track the duck. That's all you do. Just like that. You track it. You're probably going to miss it if you track it, but that's the idea. In a prone situation where I'm laying on my stomach, I couldn't do that because I can't swing the gun. This would be used for a standing or kneeling position. Standing or kneeling position. Tracking it. The other method is called the ambush method, appropriately. This is most preferred on prone positions where, my rifle weighed 12 pounds. I'm not going to get up and start running down the street chasing somebody. I'm going to prone out and just sit there. That's where I'm going to be. I'm not going to get up and start moving to new positions because somebody will see me. But in an ambush situation, like in Dealey Plaza, the shooters tracked the car, and then where's the car? The car has to go down the road. It's not going to, elevate and go up in the sky like in Back to the Future. It has to come down that road. All you do is point the rifle at the middle of the road, and when he comes into your scope, you pull the trigger, he'll run right into the bullet. There's none of this tracking nonsense. You just lay there, wait for him to show up, fire the bullet. When he comes into your scope, it's done. Now, shot synchronization. When we fired, every Monday for 7 years, God, that's a long time. 7 years I had my ass in the grass at our lodge out in rural Douglas County, Kansas. And we laid there, every Monday. Rain, sleet, snow, hail, 120 degrees Kansas weather, it didn't matter. Monday, we're shooting. And we fired thousands and thousands of rounds. The synchronization part of this is you saw that first slide of myself on the right, the left of the picture, and Sergeant Bell on the other side. We shot at the instantaneous moment of each other, so there's only one sound. What I'd like for you to do is close your eyes. Don't worry, I'm not going to do anything weird. Just close your eyes and tell me how many shots you hear on this next sound.
Fire! Fire! Fire!
Everybody says 3, right? How many of you ever been to a military funeral? Everybody's seen that. There were 7 men shooting a rifle 3 times. How many rounds were shot? 77 times 3 is 21. But you only heard 3 because they're all firing in synchronized form. That's what happened at Dealey Plaza. We have 3 volleys. We can't be more than 3 volleys of shots because we've got our scenario. The shooter from behind only has the capability and the time to shoot 3 times. So you can't shoot more than 3 times. Well, wait a minute. Here's an idea for you directors to think of. What if we have the guy that we want as the patsy We'll give him a rifle that doesn't have a suppressor on it, and everybody else has got a suppressor. That's a brilliant idea. Kids always go, well, they didn't have silencers back then. You need to wake up. They were invented in World War II, or World War I they had them. They even had one that shoots around a corner with a suppressor on it. But anyway, 21 shots, only 3 you hear.
Fire! Fire! Fire!
Shot synchronization. These guys in Dealey Plaza have done this before. These weren't brand new shooters right out of the police academy or out of the, Quantico or something. These are guys who have been doing this for a long, long time. Tactical component is, pretty quickly, I'll just go through this. Intel, what's the sight look like? You're the shooters, you've got to know what it looks like, what's it going to look like when I get to my position. Communication blackout, we know that happened. The action is the shooting. The evac is get out of here. And then the fourth, or the fifth, is the cleanup. And I'll talk about that in just a second. So here's your chain of command, director of operations. This is the guy who at the top that nobody knows about. He's one of the conspirators that says, we'll make it a go. He gets a field commander that he's worked with before, and then the field commander chooses his team. Shooters, security team, support team, transportation. Intel guys, for the intelligence part of this gathering, of the shooters, they have to know where their field of fire is. Where's the kill zone? Okay, I'm in a book depository, let's say. Where am I shooting at? Am I shooting on Houston or am I shooting on Elm Street? Or is he going to go down to the bridge? Whatever. You got to know where you're going to be shooting at. Locate and secure your final firing position. You can't just, can you imagine? You don't know where you're going and in the last minute, hey, there's your spot right over there. Okay, let me get my gun out of the car and I'll walk over there and nobody will pay attention to me. No, you're there for several hours before this happened. You're there and you've got a security officer behind you or close to you to say, no, you can't come in here. You can't come in here. How many, you've heard stories about that. Remember when Gordon Arnold tried to get up behind the fence? Chased away by a security officer. Can't get up here. Those people in the 60s were going to take the advice and the command from the police officer. Don't come up here. Okay. Well, Malcolm Summers, I talked to him, Casey and I talked to him many, many times. And when he ran across the street to follow the crowd up the knoll, he said at the time he got to the top of the steps, he said there was a guy coming out of the behind the fence, had a Stetson hat on, clue, with a raincoat over his arm. He said he could see the barrel of a pistol under the man's coat, and he says the man told him, don't come up here, you'll get shot. This is a secure area. That's part of your security team. I know in my heart that's who that was. Don't know who he is. Locate your rally point, where you're going to go when you shoot. After you shoot, where you're going to end up. How do you get out of town? Time on target. How long are you going to have to shoot this target? Interruption of communications. Casey talked about it briefly. If you're going to black out the communication system at channel 1, there's 2 ways to do it. One, you just hold the microphone key down. Okay, let go, let go. Nobody can communicate when you got the key held down on the microphone. Who had microphones in Dealey Plaza? Who had microphones in the Dallas Police? Everybody who had a car had a microphone key. Hell, the chief of police himself probably could have keyed the mic. And I know he could have. All you do is key the mic and you can't communicate, you can't hear. But at Fair Park, out at the old Texas State Fairgrounds, there was a building out there, the Health and Science Building, that in 1962, I believe, Dallas Morning News, March 17, 1960, that's the headline. Headline reads, Dallas Center approved by Civil Defense. This communication center was in the underground bomb-proof bunker at the Texas State Fairgrounds at Fair Park. And it says, the 4th paragraph that I highlighted here says, largely a communications center will be tied to state, regional, and national civil defense headquarters in Washington, D.C. It will contain enough food and air conditioning to maintain 20 persons working there for 2 weeks without refueling. That's a good spot. Flip a button. Anybody want to guess who else had offices at the fairgrounds at Fair Park? I know Ed Tatro knows this. You know who else had offices at the fairgrounds? Dallas Special Services. That's where they operated out of. They had vice, narcotics, counterintelligence, and subversive people that would go out and infiltrate these places. They didn't want the public to see them going in and out of these places because they're undercover. I mean, I get that. I mean, that's where we had our drug squad. We didn't even know where our drug squad was. They made some place. But Ganaway and Ravel, they worked out of that place at Fair Park. There is if you want to jot down that website, it's called Washington Babylon. It talks all about this place at Fair Park. And Casey and Dave and I are going out there later today. I want to take some pictures. I don't know what's there. I have no idea. But there was some real interesting. In this picture, the caption says, communication, oh, pooey, sorry. Communications equipment which would link Dallas to the rest of the nation in the event of a nuclear test. The nuclear attack is tested at the city's Civil Defense Center, 18 feet below the ground. Shown here is Colonel Charles McCoy, Assistant Civil Defense Director for the City of Dallas. I found one reference to Colonel McCoy in a website on military personnel, decorated, whatever. Guess who he worked with before he became Civil Defense Communication? 488th Military Intelligence, Army Reserve, Dallas. Small world, ain't it? Same people, different day. You know why you hire the same people? Because you know they do the job. That's what this guy did. I don't know who was there at the time. All right, ranging the field of fire. FOF means field of fire. Where's my kill zone? We ranged it by those stripes that are on the south curb. You've all been there, you've seen those pictures. That was done for a reason, and the only reason it was done is to range how far I am from Randy Benson. 20, 30, 34 feet. That's my guess. Because I used to do that all the time, look through its scope. That's 47 feet. But these were only painted on the top and the face that faced to the north. Well, from a tactical perspective, the only reason those parts of the curb were painted, none on the south side, just all on the north side, from that first one all the way almost to the overpass. And the only reason those were there is to give the shooters who were elevated from behind and on the north side targets of responsibility. That's my zone. My zone, when he comes into the ambush, I fire. If I miss him, the next section guy will get him. You follow? Everybody's got a zone. There are 6 stripes on that curb. Beverly Oliver said that they were fresh that morning because when she stepped across, she stepped in the yellow paint. Now, can you imagine Lee Oswald's going to kill President Kennedy? That in itself is ridiculously stupid. But is he out there with his little paint bucket from Benjamin Moore with his paintbrush, waiting for the traffic to clear, go down 20 feet? Well, that's about 20 feet. Oh, car, whoa. Okay, I'm sorry, I'll get out of the way. That's ridiculous. That was done the night before, at night, when nobody could see him. Because the last thing you want is some nosy damn civilian. What are you doing? You can't park here, the parade's coming through. Okay. They're 20 feet apart. You all drive. What does a yellow curb marking mean? No parking. There's no parking anyway. It's 3 lanes of traffic. Where are you going to stop and park? It ain't going to happen. Those were done for a marker to tell you how far the range was. Here's a reenactment photo taken from Zapruder's position. Those square boxes are the stripes. We know they were there. Let's skip that. There's the color picture of it. We know it was there. Here they are. This is the Dallas Police crime scene photo taken by either Day or Studebaker. I can't tell which one. There's 2 of the stripes. These are the closest to the overpass. And somebody wrote first shot. Boy, did they get that wrong. Yeah, that's not even close. And you don't write on a picture after you take it. All right, in Zapruder frames 308 and 357, I use those numbers because that's what I know, 308, 357 firearms. But you can see the stripe. You can see the stripe right there. And then there's the full length of one, right, when Jackie's crawling over the back of the car. Or, sorry, Mrs. Kennedy. All right, so your field of fire is the center lane. Everybody's going to be shooting at that center lane. Every bullet will be fired at that center lane. Not saying everybody's going to hit it, but every bullet is going to be pointed in that direction. You're the field commanders. This is your job. You have full tactical control over who fires and when you fire. You're God, basically. That's what we called our sergeant. He was God. God Alice. Because whenever he'd say Alice, that was our cue to call. Boom. You're the only one that could call. You're a high elevated position. Final firing position, this is just my perspective from where I was trained and experienced. This is where I'd put people. High ground. Okay, we'll go through this rather quick because I got 10 minutes and it ain't going to happen. This is from the west end of the book depository. You're 70 yards. Shooters, you're within 100 yards. That's what you want. 100 yards, elevated position, shooting down, but that damn tree is in the way. Well, we can't shoot through the tree, as many people think you can. You cannot. But this would be a good spot. But remember, you're in a building, a multi-story occupied building. How are you going to get out? I don't know. That's why I would never put myself in a building. We don't put people in buildings. If you do, I'll show you a picture of that in a second. Here's from the sniper. I call this the patsy window. It's not the sniper's window. It's the patsy window. It's 80 yards to the 85 yards to the X. Good cover and concealment, but how are you going to get out? Shooting from within a structure, this is how you shoot from within a structure. You don't want people to go, there's a gun right there. No, you want to be hidden. It's covert. It's a sniper. You don't want people to go, there's the guy right there. Unless you want to be seen. Next time you go to Washington, D.C., stand at the White House on the south side and go, hey! They love that shit. They do. They go, there's another idiot. Boom, right in the head if we could get him. Yeah, there they are. There's my boys. I used to know, I went to college with a guy who was he was a SEAL, and he was doing security at the White House. I said, man, you ever been up on the roof? I can't tell you. You've been up on the roof. He goes, I can't tell you. But you've been up there, right? Come on, it's just me, man. Come on, law enforcement. Can't tell you. Next time you go to Cowboy Stadium, just when you're enjoying the third quarter and the Cowboys are kicking the butt out of the Kansas City Chiefs, just look up. There'll be somebody watching you. They've got hides all over AT&T Stadium. They were built specifically at Jerry Jones's request. Where can I have people? We'll put one there. We'll see one there. You just look up. You'll see the barrel sticking out of the window. Now, if you want to be seen, you stick the barrel out the window. And that's what happened that day. I play on the movie's title. Star is born, manufactured, created, sorry. This guy says, what kind of a gun, Bellin says, what kind of a gun did you see, Mr. Brennan? I'm not an expert. Thanks for admitting that. It was, as I could observe, some type of high-powered rifle. How do you know what the hell a high-powered rifle looks like from 110 feet to the north, or to the south, and 65 feet below? How do you know? I don't know. You push that picture in front of me in a courtroom. Officer Edwards, is this your opinion? Is this a high-powered rifle? Well, I need a little bit more information. What the hell is it? Is it a drywall nailer? What is it? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. Could you tell whether or not it had a scope? I didn't observe a scope. Well, I guess he didn't see that rifle, because that rifle's got a scope. Could you tell, how much of the gun did you see? Normal person would say, oh, about half of it. He says, I calculate 70 to 85%. Who talks like that? Let's see, there's 10%, there's 20, that's about 75. So I did some of my own research. The evidence, the rifle in evidence is 40.2 inches long, according to the FBI. 70% of 40.2 is 28. That's the green line. 85% of 42, or 40.2 is 34. You're going to see the scope either way. Apparently he didn't see that. All right. These pictures have probably not been seen in the public for a long, long time. We got these from J. Gary Shaw, who was hoarding them, that little rascal. So this is from the Daltex building. This is upper floor of the Daltex. You're the shooter. Question is, do you have cover and concealment? Yes. Do you have a clear view of the target? Yes. All you have to do from this position is point the rifle out close to the window, and he's tracking the same. You just focus it on the center line. You pull the trigger when he's in the ambush zone. What about your evacuation? It might be a little dicey. How do I get out of a multi-story occupied building? I don't know. Here's from a lower floor or a higher floor. Same thing. Great cover and concealment, great time on target, but how do you get out? This is from the roof of the criminal courts building looking down on top of the jail. Many of you have never seen that before, I bet. To me, for the field controllers, field commanders, this is your spot. Look at the view you have. You can see everything. You can see the west, you can see the south, you can see everything. That's where you guys are going to be. You're the shot callers. This is from the roof of the former criminal court, or the county records, or criminal courts building. This is not a good shot. This isn't you. I'm not going to put you there. You guys are not going to put anybody there. Your target is not in view. Jackie's in the front of him. However, there is another spot on the overpass. Target's coming right at you. Just like it's going away from the guys in the Dowtex, this one's coming right at you. There's David. David wave. Hey, my brother from another mother. There's David. There's David standing over the top of the Commerce side, right on the edge of the Commerce Street side. Tom Dillard, news photographer of the Dallas Morning News, took this picture, which is always cropped. You can't see anything past that tail light of that Chevy. On the uncropped version, or on the cropped version, you can see the people on the overpass. The light is being blocked by the pillars. You can't see through the pillars because their legs are there. This is the uncropped version. There's James Tague. There's the guys on the overpass. Look to the, I want to have a pointer. My pointer doesn't work. There it is. Right there. You see that? Something's blocking the light from coming from behind, but there's nobody up above that. Oh, sorry. Right there. See if this makes it easier to see. That's where I'm going to put my guy. That's my best shooter right there. That guy is going to have the most time on target, and he's right in line with the target. There it is. I think there's somebody there. Because in the Cancelleri photo, there's David doing the same thing. He's kneeling down, exactly kneeling, classic kneeling style, just like this. Nobody's above. You can't see. How come nobody sees the guy? They're not paying attention to that. They're looking at the car. And there's a guy between them. Oh, look at the car. You're good. Nobody's going to see that. So David's squatting, kneeling position. There he is. Same thing. That's a guy standing up there. I bet my life on it. There's David, kneeling position, classic firing position. In the Cancelleri photo taken moments later, that object is not there in that picture. It's gone. Well, what happened to it? Well, it got up and walked away. That's what happened to it. It's not there. 20 feet up in the air. Commerce is 13.6 feet. There's another 6 feet on top of that to the top of where the men were standing. There's another 6 feet. There's 19.6 feet above the roadway. You can't get any better than that. And the car's going downhill. The back people are going to be higher than the front people, right? Perfect. Piece of cake. That car is moving straight to you for about 50 yards. Straight down like a goalpost. I drew 2 lines parallel. There's my shooting lane right there. There's your best shooting lane right there. South Knoll, for years and years, I always thought that's where the guy is. No, I don't think that's where he was. I don't think that's a good spot. Low ground, I'm almost done. Give me 2 minutes, if you could. May I have 2 more minutes? Thank you. You've got 4 spots. Low ground is everything below 10 feet. This is where you're gonna put somebody. One of these places you're gonna shoot from, guarantee you. East end of the fence, we already know witnesses saw somebody over there. We know this guy, Gordon Arnold, said the bullet went right past his right ear. I'm not gonna show that. I'm not gonna show that because we don't have time. That's where he's talking about. Midway down, about a third of the way down, another those sections of fence are 8 feet long. About 2.5 sections down to the west is another shooter. That's your view. 42 yards within our 100-yard shot.
My dad had stopped on Stemmons Freeway.
Ed Hoffman said
beyond the
he saw somebody by that tree-trunk tree right there. Beverly Oliver says there was somebody shooting from the tree-trunk tree. That's 2 different people. From that distance, you don't need a scope. Follow it. You track it. Remember the tracking method? You don't want a scope. You only got 3 millimeter or 3 degrees of view. You can't see it. You want a wide open shot. That's a shooter. Emmett Hudson said a shot went over his head. What was he talking about? Anything behind him is over his head. It's elevated. It's 12 feet up off the ground. Newman said the same thing. Shot went right over her head. North side of the sewer, I know some of you in this room are convinced beyond a shadow of a doubt that there's somebody in that sewer. From a tactical standpoint, no, I'm not putting anybody in there. How do you get out? You can't crawl out. What if the blueprints are wrong? You're screwed. And it's a waste of time. You've already got 9 other guys around. Why would we need to put somebody in there and trap them? Well, this idiot can get in there, but just to show it can be done, you could stand in there, but you're not going to shoot from there. Can you imagine? Your ears won't be the same. Do what, dear?
Didn't they say that there was a line to the river?
Yeah, well, until I do it, I'm not going to say yes or no. And the last one, anybody ever see a shooter up there? That's your view. Well, you're not going to stand out there with a rifle for crying out loud. Brian, what are you thinking? How about that panel truck? It's the first car blocked before it crosses Houston Street. You know what it is? It's a laundry truck. Back in the day when they go to get laundry, it's in a big bag with soft clothing. There's your prone position right there. Shooting right down Elm Street. That's where I'm going to put somebody. You got a mobile escape route. All you have to do is go, I'm done, let's go. There's your shooting range. Okay, one more slide, I promise. Spotters, we know the spotters were there. This is the original slide from Phil Willis that we pried out of Gary Shaw's hand. Here they are. The only reason these guys were there is to show target hits. That's it. Because they didn't do anything else. We would never put a spotter in our line of fire. That's crazy. Oh, I don't like that guy anyway. Ping! Now we shoot our target. So these guys are sitting down on the side of the curb. They're not even interested in anything. I'm going to flip through. You've all seen these pictures before. Missed shot. We've seen that. Something happened over there at that concrete pad. And whatever it was, whoever fired that round, if that was a projectile, missed it by 22 feet. He ain't on my team. You missed the target by 22 feet? What, are you scared? Oh, I had a shot. Okay, one more, promise. I'll find it. I got to show you this because some of you have probably never even thought of this, and I apologize to David for these my next. Okay, good. Super. So at that concrete pad on the south side, something happened. I don't know what it was, but something hit that. It caused everybody to go, hey, look at that. Here comes Foster. This is J.W. Foster, Dallas PD. He's over there. There's already people there. So Buddy Walters in the black suit, he's touching it. Well, that's stupid. If it's a piece of evidence, you don't do that. But what's interesting is here comes this guy, and he's standing with his mug in the picture. This is the Jim Murray slides. I found this guy. Anybody know who that is? Not his name, but you know where he came from? The guy, I'm talking about the guy in the jacket. He's the guy holding the SOB JFK sign. Did you know that? That's the same guy. So Walters is looking at it, take a smoke break. Here comes the guy, picks it up, love the socks. But this guy, we don't know who he is, but I found him later. They're both right there. Here's the guy that picks up whatever it was. Here's the guy bending over. But in this crowd is another person, another part of the cleanup team. Can anybody spot him in this crowd? There's a cleanup guy. You got to see this. Don't go anywhere. Hold on to your hats. This is cool stuff. This is covert shit all over. In this crowd is this guy. Watch what he does. He's just standing there, waiting for the traffic to go. Look at his right hand. He's carrying a frickin' hammer. Well, why would you carry a hammer to a parade? And he's got a glove, a work glove on his left hand and not on his right. And he's got a shirt, button-down shirt, Bob or whatever the hell his name is, and he's got wherever he works, like he's an auto mechanic or something. But he's wearing white tennis shoes. In the 60s, nobody did that. Not a guy. Kids did. But we cannot, Gary Shaw's got the original print of this. We cannot make out the name or the company he's working for, but that's the company name, and his name is on the right. And there's his white tennis shoes. Who is this guy? He's carrying a frickin' framing hammer in his right hand along with some other tool, and there's the glove. Where is he going? He's going right straight to where Walters and Foster were. What's he going to do? Build a house? What's he going to do with a hammer? I don't know. He ain't going to build anything. That's a hammer. You can see the tongs on it. Who carries a hammer with them? Nobody's going to convince me that that rifle was used for anything but a prop, and that guy had nothing to do with it except the fact that he was going to take the blame for 56 years, and that's wrong. That rifle is the worst rifle. If you laid 5 firearms out in front of me and said, Edwards, you got an assignment, you got to whack that guy at the top of the stairs over there. You lay out 5 weapons. Well, that one ain't going to be one I want. I don't want to use a bolt-action rifle. It takes too long. Give me a semi-automatic rifle, I'll get the job done. Thank you very much for your patience. I appreciate it.